Yo, Joe, let's roll out. This is Modular Media's Saturday Morning Panels, a G.I. Joe and Transformers podcast. I am one of your hosts, The Vacuuminator, and I am joined, as usual, by my salacious co-host, Snowcone83.
Howdy, howdy, that's Snow Cone 80 me.
Hey. I don't know what it is. It's probably just that it's a childhood movie that's really ingrained in my brain. But whenever somebody says howdy howdy to introduce themselves, I immediately think of the fucking scene from, what is it, Toy Story 1 or 2, where the shark pops out of the toy box with the cowboy hat on and goes, howdy howdy, I'm Woody.
Yeah, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yeah, that's a fucking hilarious moment. But what is definitely a hilarious and memorable thing that you should do is support the channel this podcast is on. If you haven't already, please give us a like, comment down below with some of your thoughts on things that happened in the last month's worth of G.I. Joe and Transformers content. Go ahead and subscribe and turn on that bell to enable notifications to get this and every Modular Media podcast that we do delivered right to your sub box as soon as we come out with it. There's not just this show, but there's also This Week in Toku, a weekly tokusatsu podcast. There's the No Prize podcast, a live comic book podcast, and a regular shoot the shit show, sometimes with guests, called Modular Components. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell and all the other good YouTube algorithm stuff. But for right now, Snowcone, how's the last month been for you personally?
I'd say pretty good. It's been a pretty nice month. I went and saw House of a Thousand Corpses in theaters with my girlfriend. We got to do a bunch of other cool little things. Had some nice food. Just a pretty good old time. Nothing too crazy. No unexpected surprises, I reckon.
Nice. Well, as for me, it's I've just been kind of dealing with some personal stuff behind the scenes that you know about, but also just kind of adjusting to fall finally started here. About a month and a half into when it's supposed to start, fall finally kicked in. We're down to like 40s at night and 60s or 70s during the day, which is nice, but it also means suddenly there's a lot more yard work to do, and I got to take all the AC window units out of the house tomorrow, of which there are 3. So, bit of a shakeup going on, but nothing too crazy. Has been a heck of a lot of news in the last month. Nothing big, nothing absolutely major like a whole new toy line or a big event popping off, but a lot of little tidbits here and there. And I thought we'd just kind of go through a few things and like work our way from the major Transformers announcements to the major G.I. Joe announcements. You down for that?
Yeah, I am.
All right. Well, the first thing I guess we should discuss is Takara announced a whole bunch of Japanese exclusive product that they're going to be putting out over the next few months via Dengeki Hobby, I think it was. And the first of which was Legacy Silver Bolts. I think this is going to actually be in the Legacy United line over here, but it was announced first as like a Japanese version. Obviously, as we've talked in the past of the program, I'm not the biggest Beast era fan. I barely know who Silver Bolt is, but this looks like a competent toy.
Yeah, I think I was very surprised to see it, especially with the odd proximity to Leo Prime and Black Convoy, Leo Kaiser, whatever the name actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also getting, I forget what his name is too, Scourge or something, whatever the Prime character Lion was.
Well, there's the leader class guy in Legacy United who's like a fusion of this guy and someone else, I think.
Oh, Transmetal Silverbolt.
Is that
right?
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Or it might be Skywarp or something. I can't remember who it is.
I'm looking it up. Tiger Hawk.
Tiger Hawk.
Yeah, Tiger Hawk, who is a fusion of him and Air Razor, I want to say.
Is it a fusion of both of them? I thought it was.
I thought in the show it was like those two characters fused together or something. That this is all like people who actually know the Beast era. I've heard them talk about this toy, and this is like little bits I picked up. I don't actually know. I should be clear.
Hmm. No, I mean, if it's Transmetals or Fusor, then it's just two animals. It's just whatever. It's just for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a lore explanation behind it. I think there is for that and Transmetals. It's just like it was toys first, then like shoehorned around.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of stuff in that day and age was. But yeah, Silverbolt's looking pretty decent. We'll probably see him on the next big Transformers stream. I know we've got Hasbro 1027 coming up in a few days as of this recording. Actually, let me double check my calendar. Yeah, that's a week from tomorrow when this comes out. So we'll. I think they said they're going to show like the next wave of studio series there, but I imagine Silverbolt can't be come and the whole like next assortment of Legacy United can't be too long after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know some of that's a little bit weird, but we'll see when they start announcing things. I follow a page on Twitter that talks about some other unreleased things, and then they made like a side thing just for Legacy Hound or whatever it was, the detritus or detritus uh,
Yeah,
mold
because Legacy Hound, he was he was announced as a buzzworthy Target exclusive. Like
a
I want
year
to
ago.
say, yeah, a full year ago, and we still haven't actually seen a pre-order for him.
Very weird.
Yeah. But hey, speaking of weird and in a good way, finally they're doing Masterpiece Rhinox. And again, as not the biggest Beast era fan, I took a look at this thing and I'm like, yeah, that looks perfect to me. That looks right on with the pseudo janky CGI models of the time, which I would say while I don't like it, the ultra animation accurateness that Masterpiece has leaned towards in recent years with the G1 characters, I think it really works for the Beast era characters because it's just like a look I wouldn't expect at any other price point.
I'm not sure, honestly. I I don't know. I will probably end up picking up one or two things outside of this, but the Rhinox I have is pretty good.
Yeah,
That figure,
you got the
however,
Kingdom one, right?
yeah. And I mean that's what it fits with, so it's hard for me to like, convince it. If there was gonna be one, this would be a pretty good one unless they do like a really good insect. But I mean it does look perfect. They did do everything 100% right, even the butt teeth were or no, it does have butt teeth, which I appreciate, but I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, I think that's just a weird transformation quirk, but it's friggin' hilarious. That was a fun day on whatever social media platform you're still using. Uh, but I'm probably not going to pick it up. I haven't gotten any of the master. I don't actually own any Masterpiece currently. I used to have some of the Hisui era G1 stuff, but I sold that all off a few years ago, and I haven't gotten any of the newer Masterpiece stuff. Even though I was tempted by Primal because that was a really good toy, and that came out like I want to say 2 or 3 years before we got the Kingdom one. But yeah, not for me, but still looks good. What is really tempting me though is the I think it's called like oh here's the name of it, the Dramatic Capture Series Nemesis Bridge Set, which is re-releases of Siege Shockwave without any of the extra bits and bobs he came with because they had to justify him being a later price point. Earthrise Megatron with Studio Series Starscream's Throne and Netflix Siege Soundwave with just Laserbeak. And they're all in like premium, very G1 tune accurate paint. Like Megatron Silver especially really pops on this release, I think. I
Yeah.
think I think these are super tempting. They're also like just super weird because I remember like hearing at some point that the Ravage and Laserbeak that came with the Netflix Soundwave were gang molded to him. So I wonder how much they must have had to alter the mold in order to release it without Ravage. Though it's not a terrible loss because that Ravage is kind of a piece of shit in my opinion. Um, uh, I don't know. They look really, really good, and it's kind of a theme of Takara recently, where it's like, okay, we have to just release what Hasbro is releasing initially, but it's a few years now. It's a few years on now, so here's the premium colors version that you would want to buy if you want to be a Japanese version elitist. And I like all three of those toys, so this is a little tempting for me.
I mean, just to comment on the Takara or the Takara theme there, like they've always done that, as far as I could remember. Like
Well, they
the
were doing that for a long time, and then Siege, they suddenly stopped. And
the
we found out at a panel or something like that that Hasbro like asked them not to because it was cutting into their sales for fan-oriented product. And then suddenly, I want to say earlier this year, they started. Well, we'll talk about one of them in a minute here, but they started re-releasing all the Kingdom Beast Wars characters as 2-packs with premium colors.
yeah. Um, my only comments on the actual figures. I mean, it's going to be weird because I do own them already, and I did like that Shockwave initially, and still
Hmm.
do, and still own it. I do like the colors on this one better. I haven't seen that they confirmed it doesn't come with all his extra shit.
Well, it's not
Um,
pictured.
I know it's not pictured, but both companies have had a pretty interesting comes with but not pictured streak lately. So we will
Sure.
see about that.
Yeah.
Um, I worry about the silver paint on Megatron and the age of that mold a little bit.
Yeah, that is fair because
But
they've made like a billion versions of it at this point.
most importantly, though, I just worry about the price because I know we're most likely going to get it over here. It's probably going to be like,
Oh, it went up on Pulse last night. You didn't see?
oh no, how much is it?
I'm pulling it up right now. $110.
No.
Yeah, because it's three Voyagers, one of which was sold as a leader originally, and a big chair that cost as much as a Voyager.
A big chair that you can get at Ollie's right now, almost guaranteed anywhere you are.
Yeah, I saw it at my Ollie's last night. Oh man.
Um, so that's interesting. It's $110. I mean, the paint is a value, but if we think about that, that's 30, 30, 30 if you want to be fair and ignore the fact that it's old ass um, molds that have been released
It's
to hell.
molds that came out originally when Voyagers were like 25, weren't they? Or
True
no, they
that.
were they were 30 at the time these released. Voyagers are 35 now.
So, yeah, 25, 25, 25. So we're looking at 75. Um, no, that's not math.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of the value here is going into premium paint and just the prestige of I have the Japanese version, I think. So like
well, maybe, but like the other thing about that, which I mean, yeah, sure, the premiumness, but at this point, I mean, like back in the day, it also would come with like a feel of different, plastics too. And like
mhm.
Hasbro's got pretty good plastics lately. A couple releases might be a little missing out, but most of them are pretty accurate.
Yeah. I don't know.
Um,
I think like say these stay in stock on Pulse and I can get them at a sale for like $20 off at some point next year, maybe, but as is it's a big ask. I think it's primarily like I said, premium paint, Japanese freaking elitism and Japanese collector elitism. I don't mean the Japanese have an elitism about them. But and also like it's probably meant to scoop up the people who maybe wanted these originally or couldn't find them. Like there's still a lot of people that really want that Netflix Soundwave, didn't get it when it came out, and now it's like you can get this set or you could pay like almost three quarters of what this set is costing to get it on the secondary market, I think.
yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't initially realize how hard to find that Netflix Soundwave was considered.
Hmm.
Because I think I've said this on stream before, but it shelf formed at my Walmart, and I bought it the day it like went into stock, and like the rest of them just sat there forever, and they ended up going on sale. So I just assumed
That's
personally,
so insane to me because I only ever saw the one I got.
yeah. My Walmart also got like all of the Netflix stuff like in like 3 or 4 packs, so they had a fuck ton. It was like the only shit that they would have for the longest time. They didn't get like any of the other like War for Cybertron uh waves surrounding that, I think, for a little while because they over like bought their what do you call it? They overbought their exclusives.
Okay, so
And
I just looked him up on eBay. The first auction I could find for him mint in box is $90 plus $10 shipping.
yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say I'm missing the red one for him, but he's actually sitting on my doorstep.
Oh,
I had him pre-ordered on Amazon, and it went through last night and showed up today.
nice. Yeah, I have the Siege 2-pack one, but I do want to get that Studio Series one just because I like the blue one so much. But there is one more thing Takara announced, which is the probably the last because I can't imagine there's much more they could do in their Transformers Beast Wars Versus series. Number 08 is Ghost Starscream versus Haunted Waspinator. Who look pretty good. Waspinator is one of the few Beast Wars designs I really liked the moment I saw it. So I've always wanted to get a figure of him and have just never gotten around to it. And seeing the newest one in these show accurate colors is really cool. And Ghost Starscream is also a figure that like I have always been really tempted by ever since like the Henkei one came out back in the day. I remember watching a TF Source stop motion review of that back in like the old YouTube days and thinking like, wow, this thing looks amazing. I'll never own it. So seeing an Earthrise version is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think both of these look really good. I'm a sucker for anything translucent, honestly. I also
Hmm.
fear anything translucent at the same time, so a little bit of both. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be good.
Yeah. I have just checked on Pulse. These also went up on there last night with the free pack, and Pulse is asking $70 for them. I don't know what the MSRP from Takara is, but that's a Voyager and a Deluxe with premium paint. So
That's
again,
a
I
little,
it's a little much.
yeah. That's kind of like the go-to thing. Seems like a lot of it's going to be a bit much.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I don't know. It's been one thing the way that we've been able to get stuff on sale lately. And it just kind of makes me think, like
We're
it's
getting
really
close to the breaking point of the modern action figure market.
well, I mean that's the thing. Like at first I was just so excited to find all this stuff for cheap, but now I'm like, man, now I'm seeing like shit that I already bought like recently for a lot of money for cheap.
Hmm.
Why would I pre-order when you could wait?
I saw that Vulcan body Black Panther for like $5 at an Ollie's last night, and I was like, I love that figure. I'm really glad I got it at the summit for full price, but there's a part of me that goes like, damn it, if only I'd have waited. But
I bought Moff Tarkin at Ollie's
yeah, me
for
too.
$9 and
Hmm.
then kicked myself in the fucking teeth for it because I went to Ross after that to check and they had Moff Tarkin for $7. I was like, I didn't fucking think I'd find this at either store. What the fuck?
Holy mother.
I got a Cosmos though. I have two Cosmoses in box now. One belongs to this man, another to a mystery guest. But I maybe have picked out the person already. I just have to reach out and touch them.
Damn. Be
Um,
gentle. Uh,
yeah, well, last time I got the Cosmos and I got a countdown or whatever the fuck his name was.
clamp down.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he was super rare either because I was just
I
buying
know
him.
the fucking toys you own better than you. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, because like I like stopped. I checked out after I got like the red and yellow one, and I was like, nah, fuck them. I'll get like red alert. Or no, I have red alert, so I didn't want to get a red alert. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to convince myself to buy just anything. Like I saw Detritus or Detritus in person, and I just didn't really get them because I was like, man, I mean, I got money right now, but I know I could go maybe walk into an Ollie's and spend $30 and get 5 Crimson Guard or something like that. So I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's rough. But let's get back into the news real quick. There was a announcement that I think will help transition us into talking about some GI Joe stuff because it pertains to both GI Joe and Transformers. That came out of New York Toy Fair, which was just last weekend. Which was at the McFarlane Toys booth. They apparently had a back area where they took some journalists and showed them initial prototypes for their newly announced Transformers and G.I. Joe Page Punchers lines, which are going to be coming next year and are apparently going to be along the lines of the DC Page Punchers they've been doing. Did you hear about this at all, Snowcone? And how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I follow Todd the God, on most socials actually.
Mm.
I think he's just generally entertaining usually, anyways. I like just seeing him talk about stuff.
Articulation.
Yeah, but he, I think it's interesting. I want to see what they look like in person, because it might scratch a really weird niche for me.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the names of the characters were called, but you might remember them. They were kind of like basic looking figures, and it was in like the early 2000s, maybe like 2008 or 2010. Um, and they were essentially just like classic G1 characters that had like a couple points of articulation, but like a little bit more
Was it like
interesting
Robot
stuff.
Masters or Robot Heroes or something like that?
Kind of like it. Like it reminded me a little bit about like slightly smaller. Uh, Damn, I completely lost what I was going to say.
Okay, so Robot Heroes is a line. It is what I'm thinking of, but it came out around the time of the first movie.
Oh, so '07. Yeah, that maybe that's not the little
Here's
guys. They're not cartoony. They just I'll have to. I don't know. Anyways, that just it could remind me of that, but I'm worried that like maybe some of the issues with McFarlane recently would
yeah.
continue with that.
I mean, the thing is, I haven't been the biggest fan of Page Punchers as a DC line. I'm a very big DC fan, and I've been highly critical of Todd's handling of the license ever since he got it. There's some things he's done that I've been like, that's neat, but I don't know if I'll buy it, and then occasionally I do end up buying it. And a lot of stuff that I've just gone like, I don't know who that's for, but I'm glad somebody's enjoying it, because clearly somebody is, because it's selling, because you're making more. And Page Punchers is one of those kind of things because what it is it's like Kenner style articulated little, like, I think they're like 3 or 4 inch figures with McFarlane level detail and paint, and they come on like these huge blister cards because the gimmick is you also get a single issue comic with them, and it's meant to be like, the way I understand it is it's meant to be like a get kids into comics by selling them an action figure with a comic again kind of thing. But a lot of the choices for comics he goes with are like things that either aren't recent enough or are recent enough, but I wouldn't say are like age appropriate for a kid. So it's one of those things where I just kind of scratch my head and go like, I don't know who this is for, especially because like some of the characters in the early waves are like Flashpoint Batman. Yes, he sells. Yes, collectors like him. But I don't know if you want to sell that version of Batman to a kid who's just getting into it. Um, and apparently it's a similar kind of thing with these Transformers ones. I don't think he had GI Joe prototypes there, but I remember reading that the Transformers ones were like Optimus and Starscream and uh, Bumblebee and Megatron with issues from IDW, and that just raises all kinds of questions for me because I'm like, why would you give them IDW when the Skybound stuff is just starting? You can get kids in on the current thing, and like, how do you even have the license to reprint the IDW stuff when that agreement is over? I'd really like to see the legal jiggery pokery that's going on to make that happen, but whatever. I think the nicest thing I could say about it is this might be how we make non-transforming Transformers successful at retail because that's notoriously flopped like 3 or 4 times now. But I think there might be people who are just so into Todd's stuff that they'll look at this and go like, "Oh, I like Transformers. I'll buy these. Oh, these are kind of like those Action Masters I sort of remember." Might have that happen.
Yeah. And I mean, if we think about that for a second, look at what he's doing with Super Friends.
Yeah. Super Friends is cool because like it has that nostalgic attachment to it, but it legitimately feels like a kid's line. Like I can imagine buying some of those and handing them to my nephew.
Yeah, I just want to see a little bit more in person to see what they could do. Because I mean, I'm all about like if it's fun, it's fine. But at the same time, like, do I want that small scale or would I rather just get a core class?
Yeah, it'd
Because
be
like for me,
interesting to see like what designs he's going with as well. Is he going to do like straight up here's Todd's take on the G1 designs, or is it going to be like super faithful to the IDW designs inside the comic?
you know what? I hate to say it, but if it was Todd's take on the Transformers characters, I might that might be enough to make me do it.
Oh man, but Todd is not the only non-Hasbro person that's been making a move on some Hasbro properties recently. So I don't know if we've ever talked about Super 7 on here. I think we might have mentioned them once or twice, but for like the one person listening to this who doesn't know, they're the people who make reaction figures and ultimates. Um, and they showed, I want to say it was back at last year's San Diego Comic-Con, a prototype for a GI Joe vehicle based on the big Cobra ship that I think is in the second or third A Real American Hero intro thing. And they've been just wheeling that prototype back out at every major show ever since, saying like, "Oh, don't worry, it's coming. We're working on this. This is actually going to come out." And then finally, just a couple days ago, they officially announced the GI Joe reaction vehicle Cobra Mothership is a crowdfunding campaign that's going to be running up until December 11th. And it is a 32-inch in diameter uh, big gray vehicle playset diorama, whatever you want to call it. The thing is frigging massive, and it is priced massively. It's going to be $495. And it needs 4,000 pre-orders to make it actually happen, and then they have 3 different stretch goals. It's basically a HasLab. I think it looks really neat. It's one of those things where I look at it and I go, that is so crazy and so cool, but I would only ever get it if I had unlimited funds and space.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and it looks like it even scales properly with other GI Joe vehicles to like at least like with their loading ramp that I saw in some pictures. It looks like the classic his tank could fit
Yeah,
right in there.
it's meant to actually scale with O-ring in addition to their reaction stuff, and it's going to come with an exclusive O-ring figure.
Well, it comes with oh well, not even that. They're Super 7 selling O-ring figures along with this.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's which I think is kind of weird because I saw that they were offering like a very specific Viper in both reaction and O-ring options, and I'm like, man, that feels like the waters are really getting muddied now. Like,
Yeah.
is the franchise this strong? I mean, like, I guess for that exact thing, but like,
Well, I
it's
think this it's like a specific gunner that's meant to go with this ship. I don't think it's a design that's existed before.
yeah, it's just interesting. Well, but at the same time, like, is Hasbro really like they're not really hurting them? Hasbro puts their shit on Pulse all the time now.
Yeah. The Hasbro and Super 7 are like buddy buddy. They did a joint stream the other day, which we'll talk about in a minute because they announced something there. But it's it's a weird thing. I imagine it's got to be like, well, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are probably like really tempted by it. I think there's probably only a select few people who are going like, "Oh yeah, I have the money, I have the space, I love GI Joe. I'm an O-ring guy, and I've been buying Reaction because it reminds me of O-ring or whatever. So I'm gonna get this, and this is gonna be my new big Cobra centerpiece for my collection room. And I don't know if there's 40,000 of those kind of people out there.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe they're just counting on people out there who still. I mean, I know some of it'll sell,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I just don't think it's something that I had a thought the other day with like thinking about Giant Man. I'm like, you know what? Um, it's just a situation of I'm kind of only buying one type of battle or one type of HasLab or Kickstarter project right now, and that's whatever they're putting out for GI Joe.
Yeah.
Like if something is incredible and grabs me, I feel bad for missing out on the last Transformer ones, so I'm definitely going in on the next one regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did want I didn't really care for Star Saber too much. The core figure looked good, but like the newer one they did
Deathsaurus.
Deathsaurus. Yeah,
See,
that
I
one
never
looked
watched a full review of Deathsaurus or paid that much attention to him because I knew it would just be too tempting. But I remember when Star Saber came out, I watched a few Adams's unboxing of it, and I was like, God damn, this thing looks incredible. I wish I had backed it.
yeah. No, I'm much more interested to see whatever happens next with it. But yeah, I just don't think I would go in on something like this just because I'm mainly doing classified. I have a small like 3 3/4 inch collection that's just like my childhood collection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I only ever had like one vehicle. Technically, I have three because I have I have Storm Shadow and Kamakura's bike from Valor versus Venom, and then I have the Cobra Eel and the Cobra Stingray or whatever their vehicle was,
Mm. All right.
and a His Tank.
Well, I guess we can kind of move into some classified discussion now because we got the latest Walmart Collector Con pre-orders for Night Force, Shadow Tracker, Tunnel Rat, and Path Spiderwolf Varma. Now, I think all of these had leaked out in some way, shape, or form over the last few months, but they finally officially got announced. I want to say it was a week ago when they went up for pre-order on Walmart. Did you pre-order any of these? Did you have any interest in any of these, Cody?
I have an interest in all of them except for Tunnel Rat because I'm Tunnel Rat's kit is not different enough for me to
Yeah, he's just a straight repaint, and I don't like
yeah.
these colors as much as the regular one.
Well, I'm more saying like because now we're getting into the a point to where I've been hoping that we were getting where I talked about like we had talked about in the past where because they're military stuff, all they have to do is get the molds for the different legs, body, gear, and whatever, and then just recolor it indefinitely so long as the molds last, and it's golden. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what we're seeing with like Nightwolf or the Spider Wolf guy
Spiderwolf.
like that, all you got to do is just like pick a theme, pick a kit, and then boom, you got another figure that goes out that can fit into like a specific display. It could be an exclusive and it doesn't feel that bad. I'm fine with them being an exclusive. I'm also fine with trying to track them down in person.
I
For Tunnel
like
Run,
that. I like that he's a new character. I think it's cool that they gave us an Indian GI Joe character. The design isn't too exciting to me though, and honestly, some of the parts he comes with, I don't like from my experience of them with other figures. So I think I'm gonna end up skipping him.
that's interesting because that's I mean I just like tactical stuff a little bit more.
Hmm.
So like it feels like in response to like Call of Duty's literal new uh toy line, I think this is a far better Call of Duty line than that one is.
Fair enough. I mean, those 60th anniversary boys, they put those was it Jazzwares Call of Duty figures to shame.
And but yeah, that's all I was saying is I don't think that like I could get Tunnel Rat, take the stuff off of him, and then put some other stuff on him and make him look different enough to put him into a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it might could, but like again, if I'm gonna already try to be thinking that way about it, I'm not gonna pick it up at full retail, so I'm not gonna worry about it. The other two characters, I'll most certainly try to track down.
All right. I think Shadow Tracker looks neat. I'd honestly never heard of him, even though his official character came out during like one of my bigger childhood times of GI Joe. He was a Pursuit of Cobra character, and I believe he was created by John Warden. But I just never heard of that original figure until like just when the rumors of this one started popping up, and I think it looks really neat. But GI Joe is one of those things where, while I do really like the toys, if I don't have attachment to the character, I'm not going to try super hard to get the figure. So if I like ran across him at a Walmart, sure, definitely I would get him because he looks like a cool figure, but I'm not going to try and track him down.
Yeah, and see, for me, it's a little bit different just because, like, it's the same vein that I like my different Cobra guys and to build them. Like, for me, I'm like, yeah, yeah, obviously he's going to have a name that's what makes him a Joe, is he has his own name. And I know some Cobra characters do, but most Cobra infantry don't. But this guy is just Joe Infantry, just happens to have a name, and he's Night Ops, which is totally fine.
Mhm.
So I'm totally fine with like slipping him into like a specific like nighttime set, or like maybe he fits in with like a Navy crew or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I'm in this for the long haul because I'm living out my like military like toy dreams of the old. Um, just to have different displays similar to like Star Wars, where you'd have like a Hoth display, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. And I will say, like I said, I do like the figure on the whole. One detail I just noticed looking at the picture now while we're recording, that I really love about him. The initial classified Zartan. I remember when he came out, a lot of people were like, "There's like a weird flames detail sculpt to his shoes. I wonder what that's pre-tooling for." Like nobody could figure it out. All of a sudden he's got like neon green flame detailing on Shadow Tracker's shoes here, and I kind of love that. It's really
That's
good parts
interesting.
for um but yeah, there was one other classified announcement, and I believe it happened just yesterday where oh, it wasn't a stream. They had a panel because New York Comic Con is going on right now too. Hasbro said they weren't going to announce much there, so I wasn't paying super close attention. But I remember seeing right when I got home yesterday that at the Super7 slash Hasbro joint panel that they did, there was a name only announcement for Classified Alpine, a figure that's long been predicted and spectated on. Is now apparently officially in the pipeline, and it's not much of a surprise to me because pretty much like you were saying, Snowcone, all the parts you need to make this guy are already in the line now. I think like his backpack from the vintage figure comes with somebody else. A lot of his different body parts have been used for different characters here and there. His gun is just kind of a generic gun you could give anybody. The big like pickaxe that he comes with for climbing, I believe, comes with one of the dreadnoughts, and the like rope sash that he has in most of his incarnations. You can just give him the one that comes with shipwreck. So pretty easy to make this guy, and I imagine a lot of people will be happy with however he turns out because I think Alpine is like a low key favorite of a lot of people, from what I hear.
Um, Even though I agree with what you just said, um, I don't think that that's exactly what we're going to see for named characters as important as like Alpine. I
Mm,
think we're going to end up seeing just like a little bit more. Like, for example, like maybe the rope thing would be made to more accurately match instead of just reusing.
fair.
Um, but yeah, for like some of his like body pieces, maybe like Junkyard's or like Mutt's vest would fit. But I think like and it seems like they're pretty good with this so far. If it doesn't make sense to reuse it, they're not going to. Um, so that's like completely fine. I ain't gotta really worry about that.
Right on. I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be a solid figure whenever we actually get to see it. But there's one last bit of news I wanted to talk about, and it got announced just this morning as of recording, which is we now know the casts for the Skybound Entertainment G.I. Joe comics, the Duke and Cobra Commander miniseries that are kicking off in the next 2 months. Did you see this at all, Snowcone?
Um, isn't it like Screamer? Star Screamer. I mean,
No, that was
is it
that's
Scream Killer?
Transformers. We talked about that like way back in our first
Oh, GI Joe,
episode.
GI Joe. Right. Sorry.
So they announced
No,
they
I didn't see
announced
it.
they announced the GI Joe and Cobra teams today, and they did a similar thing. They didn't do like a day by day drag it out reveal. They were just like, here it is. But it is like a balanced team of like a couple fan favorites and mainstays, and then like one or two oddball choices. So the GI Joe team is General Hawk, Duke, Stalker, and the Baroness. The Baroness is going to start off as a good guy or maybe a spy.
I mean, sure, whatever, I guess.
Yeah. She's also got like a much more, I guess, doled down design. They all look like sort of familiar, but a little different. I just put the image in the chat if you want to check. The only one that like looks spot on to how they've always looked is Stalker. He just straight up looks like the classified figure. But yeah, I don't mind it, and I think it'll be kind of interesting to see what exactly they're doing with this version of Baroness, if she is like a good person who gets corrupted or if she's just a straight up spy. But the Cobra team is actually much more interesting to me because that lineup is Cobra Commander, Destro, Zorana, and frigging Mercer. Mercer is the oddball pick for the Cobra team. And that to me says like, oh, that must have been like one of the writer's favorite toys growing up. Because I remember that was why D-Dubs put Skywarp in the Transformers book. He said Skywarp was like his favorite Decepticon growing up. So I'm imagining that's got to be the same for Joshua Williamson, who is writing both Cobra Commander and Duke. But
I do love how I love how Duke looks, honestly.
Yeah, he looks very like solid modern update of the classic look.
Actually, what's kind of weird is his pants are most certainly molded after existing classified legs, but not any that I've seen on Duke before.
Yeah, and Zorana is just straight up the classified figure. Like,
yeah,
it's similar. Like her classified design is very similar to her original figure, but there's a few details that are specific to the classified version that are on this, and I'm like, they must have sent him that figure or something for reference. But I think it's a good, solid starting lineup. Of course, I'm expecting them to expand the cast as it goes on. Same with Transformers, but I think it's an interesting base to work off of.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yeah.
Especially hearing all the positive buzz around the Transformers.
Yeah, that came out last week as of this recording, and I know you didn't have time to read it, but I'll just real quick say I read it. I did a full discussion of it with friend of the show, Boingo Writer, over on the Marvel and General Superhero Comics podcast that we do, the No Prize podcast, and we both liked it a fair bit. It is basically the G1 cartoon, but with a little more like modern ennui to it, especially in like character designs for the humans, because like they're using a lot of the G1 cartoon human cast, but they look nothing like those characters, which is kind of weird. But I do like it, and as always, D-Dubs' art is spectacular, and there's a couple interesting little twists there that make the smaller cast and the weird sort of situation they're starting off with make a little more sense than it did initially. But that's all I've got to say about the brand new comic. Do you want to go ahead and dive into some discussion of this month's classic comic, Snowcone?
Sure, we sure can.
All right. This month on Saturday Morning Panels, we are discussing G.I. Joe, A Real America from the Marvel Comics group in November of 1982. This issue is scripted by Larry Hama with pencils by Don Perlin, inks by John Diagernito, I think is how you pronounce that, and Mike Esposito also on inks, Jim Novaks on letters, Stan Goldberg on colors, and Tom DeFalco as the book editor. It's a very corny issue, I think, but it's also maybe my favorite since the first one.
Oh, hello?
Hello. I was waiting for you to chime in there.
Oh, sorry. I thought the audio cut out. Not for me. I don't know if it's my favorite. I think my reaction to this versus yours is probably going to be a little bit different because I
Okay.
got a little bit too semantical throughout it.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed it. I just thought a couple bits were a little too silly for what I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. It,
But
it
I
it
think this,
feels like an early episode of the cartoon, I'll say.
yeah, for sure. I don't know if you want me to go into those details or not.
Well, I mean, the main plot of the issue is like to impress the top brass. General Hawk is having them drive the Mobat in a parade and that whole situation ends up going horribly awry because Cobra tries to steal it. And then they're like, "Oh shit, Cobra Commander is actually here running this operation. We should try and catch him." And they just barely miss him. That's the very basic plot, and I kind of enjoyed that just from like how again it feels like a Saturday morning plot of the week kind of thing, but also it calls back to some of the initial Real American Hero toy commercials, where in the first year of the toy line, because Cobra wasn't a planned thing until Marvel was like, "Who are the bad guys?" They didn't have any vehicles for Cobra in the first year, so the plot of all those like first couple toy commercials was, "Oh, Cobra Commander stole this vehicle. We got to get it back." And this kind of like put me in the mind of that stuff, and I think the dialogue is just kind of fun and cheesy too, with maybe the exception of the beginning where they're like espousing the virtues of the Mobat and like, "Oh, look, it has this and it can do this and it can do this," and Scarlet was just like, I don't fucking care. Can it take me to the mall?" Like she's being like an incredibly flippant, stereotypical 80s woman character, and it doesn't feel like Scarlet at all to me.
Yeah, it's a little silly, a little old and dated. Um, I mainly just couldn't get over them driving the Mobat underwater.
Yeah, they say like, "Oh, it can pressure seal and it can survive underwater for up to an hour," and it's like, what? There's no tank in the real world that can do that. I'm pretty sure.
Not go under, no. I mean, and I was just like, the fucking tank is designed like it's got a snorkel on the back and it looks almost exactly like a T-80, blah blah blah, with a different top on it. So it's like, I don't, it's just semantics. It's like seeing like Star Wars do something with like an AT-AT that they've never done before, or not, or like in lore shouldn't be able to do. But like at the same time, like it's silly GI Joe stuff, and the comics obviously don't pertain or like lock in the vehicle's abilities as seriously or sillily or howeverly as like the regular cartoon and toy line and stuff
They're
too.
playing a little fast and loose with the rules.
I have
And I
dropped
mean,
my phone.
I was wondering what was going on there.
Sorry about that.
You're all right. And I mean, like, it's not just stuff like that. There's also the fact there's a bunch of Cobra Troopers going around dressed like a marching band in this issue. And then at one point, like, there's a literal standoff where General Hawk is trying to get Cobra Commander and Baroness to surrender. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to take these Girl Scouts hostage." And I'm like, wow, how fucking Saturday morning cartoon can you get?
Yeah, hostage children, the classic.
Yeah. I mean, it's all done competently. It's a fun adventure, but it is one of those things where I think if you take it seriously or try to think about it too hard for too long, it probably would come apart. So I can see how you wouldn't have reacted to it that well.
Yeah, and I mean that's just because I like the tactical stuff, and some of the issues had that feeling, some of them haven't so far. Um, I think overall it was still enjoyable. The other super huge, probably larger issue I had with it was when they shot a warning shot over like the group of like marching band troops,
Well,
and they're
they
like that.
explain at the end that that was a fake.
Well, okay, I guess then.
It is kind of goofy. Like that last page is like such a, "Oh shit, we're out of time," but again, it's not bad. It's just goofy in a way that's only stuff that's actually from the 80s is.
Yeah. Yeah. Technically, if it was still a blank, there'd be a shell that was propelled out of it. It'd still be super dangerous. The
Yeah.
blank on tanks are still deadly in that kind of situation. That'd be through
Well,
somebody's window, ruining somebody's fucking living room at the very least. I'm just being extra stupid, so that's it.
I think they said like they did some kind of audio trick. They didn't actually fire the gun.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking at the last page right here. So Stalker or Hawk says that's the part I don't understand. How in heaven's name did you fire a warning shot when you didn't even have any shells in the cannon? And then I can't tell who this is. I think maybe it's supposed to be Steeler. The power of suggestion, sir. We cranked up the juice on the amplification system to the max, patched this mic into the external speakers, and bam. And then Hawk says "son of a gun," and that's the last panel. So it's technobabble. I don't think that would actually work, but yeah, they literally didn't have any blanks to fire, so they just did an audio trick.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like like all right, here's the finished issue. They're like, hey, could they do that? Like, what if they did? Like, I'm pretty sure they couldn't just fire something like they're like, quick, one more panel.
Yeah, the editor's like, what the fuck are we telling kids to do here when they get in the army? And it's like, okay, hang on, I can do this over lunch. But no, it's a fine issue. It's not like high art, but it's a solid like, hey kids, buy the Mobat. The Mobat is a cool tank toy.
The Mobat is a fun toy. You love the Mobat.
Consume, purchase, obey. All right. Well, I guess that's all we got to say about that one. Do you wanna talk about some recent purchases?
Yeah, I reckon we could.
All right. Well, should we start off with the thing I know we both have?
Maybe. What is that?
So it's been a big thing recently that a lot of Hasbro stuff, and not just Hasbro, but mainly Hasbro is the thing people have been talking about, have been showing up at Ross and Ollie's and all manner of liquidation stores for like a third of their original retail price. And I wasn't going to be doing anything extra this month because I had like a very specific plan for my purchases this month lined out, and then I just happened to be by Ross, so I was like, all right, let's check. And I found, and then I told you that I found it, and the next day you went and found the Legacy Velocitron Speedia 5000 collection, leader class Scourge.
Yes.
Who I really like for the less than Voyager price I paid for him. I don't think I would have liked him if I had paid original leader price for him, because he is essentially a Voyager with a trailer, and he's got a lot of reuse from Earthrise Prime. Mainly his entire lower body is just Earthrise Prime's lower body, which I think was also reused from Siege Prime, so that's parts they've been using for a long time. But I do think he looks great in both modes. Posing is kind of mainly because he's got weird ass shoulders. But the transformation too, especially the way his upper body transforms, I thought was a really interesting inversion of Earthrise Prime. How like his whole like front of his truck mode kind of sucks into his chest. This guy, it's almost like it balloons out and expands into a new chest, which is a really cool trick.
Yeah. I've seen flat nose trucks like this kind of do the same thing in Transformers before. I really don't like how his arms feel.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is pretty cool. I'm strangely enough, like I feel like I made the right decision to wait, and I think I'm gonna have to wait on Toxitron too because I don't think it's better than the original Optimus mold that we got from that.
Yeah.
And I love the shoulders, but like even though I know he's got the ports up there for like the effect parts and it flips out into missiles, I still feel like it's just not enough to like they should have done something with him. And I mean, I guess like Megatron kind of has a similar or Amount of Megatron kind of has that similar vibe to him.
Yeah, it's like,
weird.
yeah, you got the look down and the articulation is pretty much there, but there needs to be some kind of trick, some kind of gimmick mechanism. Like I wish those shoulders on Scourge, well, the missile spam look is cool. I wish they had actually like put the mechanism in there to make them fire a missile. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, or something. Maybe we're asking for too much, but
Yeah, it's always weird to know what they can and can't do in the modern economy of it all. But Okay, well, that's the one thing we did together. I don't know. Did you have anything else to say about him before I make us move on?
Honestly, no. I mean, I'm just out here grabbing a DoorDash order.
Okay. You
Um,
know, he's
yeah,
he.
like the trailer's cool. It's fine. I just I really love that I got it for $17. I'll say that.
Yeah, the trailer, like, as a trailer for his alt mode, looks great, but as like a base mode, it feels like it should be doing way more. Like, just that one little turret and like the weird dinky grabby hand on the bottom of it is not enough, in my opinion. But still satisfied with my $17 purchase. So
Yeah.
can't complain too much. All right. So I've got free GI Joe and Transformers products I got that I'm not sure if you got. Should I just run through them all, or do you want to do like a back and forth of like I'll do one, you do one?
Let me think for a second what I got recently. What did I talk about last time? I guess it's all the stuff on that shelf.
I can't see that shelf, so I don't know.
Yeah, true that. You cannot. Um, I'm having trouble remembering all the recent.
Our
Sure,
last episode came out right after PulseCon, so it's
yeah,
probably anything since then.
you just go. Just go.
All right. Well, I got a big old Pulse order because there was a couple things I've been waiting on, and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss a certain PulseCon exclusive. So I guess I'll talk about that first. The Power Links Hotshot and Jolt set, um, which I don't know. Like I don't love Hot Shot's Power Links colors, but they're probably the only Power Links colors I don't mind owning because it is just making the whole like, oh, he's an update of Hot Rod, but he's got some Bumblebee in him too, a little more explicit. That being said, I think the homage only really works in vehicle mode. I don't like how his colors look in robot mode. There's just like too much of a clash between like the gold, the yellow, and the red. It's a little too much. New head sculpt's okay, but the real reason to get this is, of course, Jolt, and I like him. I'm glad I bought him. I don't know if he's enough of an update to the original because he only adds a couple of little things. Like they gave him heel spurs, so he'll stand better. I think his hips were just a mushroom peg originally, and now they're a ball joint, so there's a little more maneuverability to his legs. And they gave him just a single cut joint at his elbows, and that's kind of the only update there is, aside from the fact that he's in the anime colors and he's got a head sculpt that better reflects that. But I think my big problem with him is that just like I think he needed some kind of head joint to set him, head or neck joint, however you want to word it, to set him off a little bit better. Because as is, I can't really get many more poses out of him than I could get with the original. If he could turn his head, like it doesn't have to be a ball joint. Just give me a mushroom peg, and he'd have a fair bit more personality to him than the original. As is, it's kind of just like, well, if you've always wanted him in show colors, or you don't have the original Jolt, I think this is still worth picking up. But as is, it doesn't feel like enough of an update. It's not as bad as like the Micromasters they did a few years ago, where it was literally just the same toys but with worse plastic. But it's also just like I don't know if this justifies its existence enough. I don't know if I can recommend, like, especially if you're buying this just for Jolt. I don't know if I can recommend paying full price for this set. The effects parts are fun though. I haven't had these effects parts before, even though they've been released in a bajillion colors. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Do you wanna talk about anything yet?
Um, I got Oh, I guess I did get. Did I talk about Bombshell? Not
I
Bombshell. The other Insecticon.
Scrapnel?
Yeah, that might have been older than that. I don't think I talked about him last time either, but
I don't think you did, no. I don't think I've even heard you talk about Bombshell before.
I haven't got Bombshell yet. I was
Oh yeah,
incorrect
that's
about
right. Didn't
Bombshell.
he like isn't he like coming in the next wave or something like that?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Here's what I got then. I got the sock monkey character from Fortnite. The 3 3/4 inch character. It's like hard to find for people who are collecting that way.
Oh, okay.
For GI Joes though, like I never found any grunts on sale, so like I got my scrap iron, but I'm pretty sure we talked about that last time because that was a while ago. I've
Yeah, we
just been
talked
like,
about scrap iron last month. I definitely remember that.
yeah. So the stuff I did get from like some of these on sale things, I got the Star Wars Black Series Trapper Wolf helmet, which is great. I love that helmet to death. I haven't seen another one come in stock there. It was kind of
Nice.
crazy because I've confirmed that there is at least one other person who is shelf clearing. Um, and that person most certainly shelf cleared all of the shields, the U.S. agent shields, and all of the Trapper Wolf helmets that my Ollie's got. About 10 of each. I guess one of the Trapper Wolf boxes was kind of damaged, so the guy put it away for, I guess, somebody to find it, maybe, and then for them to discount it because the box was damaged, because Ollie's does that. But I just paid full price for it because I saw it sitting and like somebody just put it on a shelf. And like literally, like all the customers were like I guess it was meant for you if this was the only one. And I was like, yeah, that's a weird fucking thing to say. I'm like, well, just buy this though. Like, yeah, sure, I love it.
All right.
And I do. It's great. It brought me a bunch of joy. It looks really good on me. It looks way better on my girlfriend. Um, but outside of that, I mean, I don't know that and a few other tiny little things, but nothing too crazy.
All right. Well, I guess I'll talk about my big boys then, because I finally got Televiper with Trouble Bubble. I only got one. I made the decision of like, I only really need the one because I had the one Televiper as a kid. If there's sales, which there probably are going to be given that the holiday season's coming up. If I can get it for like the $10 less that the Target one is going to be, I'll get another one or two. Which, by the way, did you hear there was an interview Emily and Lenny did a week or two ago. Apparently, the whole reason the what is it, Python Patrol, Trouble Bubble, and Televiper are $10 less is literally just Target fucked up and they couldn't get the message to them that it's supposed to be $10 more than that until it was already up for pre-order.
Weird.
Yeah. But so yeah, Hasbro just said, well, that's on us. You guys enjoy. We'll eat that. Which is fun. But the actual version that I have, I'm holding him in my hand right now. He is a perfectly serviceable classified version of the Televiper. And I mean that in like the all the sense you can imagine it of like classified is a fantastic toy line. All the bodies are really solid sculpts with great articulation. Occasionally you'll get a gummy or a stuck joint, but you can fix it with a little bit of heat. And it just kind of looks like the vintage guy with a few added little touches here and there. And that's kind of the all I can say about it. Like, if you like the Televiper design and you like classified, you'll like this figure. So I like this figure, but I'm not blown away by it. There's not a whole ton of it that like impressed me, except for like the few new touches of they put a little bit of paint on his backpack and he has a cool wrist communicator thing now. All that's pretty fun and solid, and I've enjoyed swapping the heads out and doing a couple different poses with him. But if you've already got like a bunch of classified figures, as just an action figure in and of itself, I don't think the Televiper is going to be terribly impressive. The Trouble Bubble, I think, is fantastic. It has all the painting and sculpting you could possibly want. The seatbelt works perfectly. The cannon went on no problem. Took me a minute to figure out how you're supposed to store the mine on it, but once I did, I was like, okay, this makes sense, and it's kind of fun to swoosh around. The only real problem with it, I would say, is this thing really needed to come with a flight stand. For $50+, the fact that it's either just going to sit on your desk, or you could suspend it with some wires, or if you already have a stand, it's not quite good enough, in my opinion. This really needed one of those like proprietary Hasbro Marvel Legends flight stands to to get it up in the air for some shots. And I have the same like mold defect everybody else does of the cockpit won't quite close, but it gets closed enough that it doesn't bug me. So I think it's a solid update to the original. It's just it doesn't quite pop, and I think that's a recurring theme I have with all of these because I also got the Commander class Armada Prime finally, and he is a fantastic toy. He does everything he can possibly need to do as an update to the original, taking out the automatic transforming gimmick. They made those super pants nice and chunky, lots of good thick ratchets in him, but you can only really do a couple poses in either mode because of all the limitations to articulation that there have to be in order for there to be all the transformations that he does. So it's just kind of like, yep, it does everything you think it's going to do, but I think, especially because this leaked like a year in advance, this Optimus doesn't do anything that surprises or impresses me. The only like thing I wasn't expecting was kind of a negative thing of just like the tabs on his shoulders don't hold together super well in super mode. So if you don't like grab his arms in very specific ways, they'll start like coming apart and untransforming themselves when you go to articulate them, which can be kind of annoying. But I do like it. I think it looks great. I'm happy with my purchase. It's just none of the Hasbro products I got this month quite lived up to the level of hype I had with them, which I think is just kind of a symptom of being an online personality and being constantly plugged into the news cycle like I am, and is part of the reason why I've been thinking about taking a step back in a lot of aspects lately.
Well, not just that, but even looking at these Armada figures, I love to see it. But, I mean, the Armada designs were chunky and kind of like not so great in some ways because they had those gimmicks. But, like for Megatron, for example, a figure I never had as a kid, but always sought after. Getting this version kind of felt like a wet blanket, knowing that the original had like all these interesting play features where like he could store mini cons in his different areas and stuff like that, and there was other things. And like for $50 for that Megatron, all he gets is his own cannon can come off and go onto his arm.
Yeah.
Like that kind of sucks. And like his little flip out bit can come off, but it's just not quite a 5 point or like a 5 millimeter peg, so it doesn't really go anywhere else. And that kind of sucks. And like that's like looking at Super Prime. Like I have my OG Super Prime, and that toy. Well, I got two versions of it. I have the original, and then I have the not the. It might be the Power Links one. I think it is the Power Links one with the chrome plated Jolt.
I think that's not technically Power Links. It's similar to the Power Links colors, but I think it was like a Costco or a Sam's Club exclusive or something like that, like a multi-pack with some extra mini cons.
Yeah, I don't know where it was. Somebody like got a box of like stuff randomly, and they like handed it to me, and they're like, "Do you want this?" And I like grabbed the box and looked down, and I see like a piece of like the Lightspeed Megazord, and then just a complete Jetfire Armada figure, and that Prime with his Jolt, but the Jolt was missing a leg.
But yeah,
Um,
that's the other thing with this Prime. Just you bringing up Jolt there is like this Prime also doesn't come with a mini con. All these Armada figures on their first release not coming with mini cons really bugs me because like Hotshot is probably the only character whose recolor I kind of like. I don't like the Power Links colors for any of the other Autobots. I guess Thundercracker out of Starscream is okay, but like I don't like that Galvatron color scheme, and I don't want to buy another one of these figures with like an extra $10 on top for some effects parts and the minicon they should have come with in the first place. I'm not looking forward to, however, they end up releasing Sparkplug and Overrun, Optimus's minicons.
I still need to put my hands on Jolt because I canceled both of the other multi packs. And it's just been because of this like this game I'm playing with myself in my head. You know, like things are getting tighter realistically, And I also understand that there is what Hasbro could make money off of for these products that I don't need to buy um, to survive. And like then there's like what Hasbro is charging, and like they keep pushing just a little bit. Like I already almost completely backed out of Black Series just because of I can't handle a $27 exclusive of a fucking figure I bought 15 times already. Like you're
Yeah.
not getting me. Like and like waiting for those resale like the Black Series Republic Commandos, like $30 a figure when you already gave me that figure twice for less. Like no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just what hurts. Like I do like the Galvatron repaint, and I'm excited about that. I would not get like a Prime repaint probably just because I have those OG figures. um I'd love to see it superposed, but like I was really focusing on the main Prime, and I'm kind of just waiting to see how it goes, or maybe waiting to see on a sale because like it's kind of dropped back. Like it doesn't even feel like it's going to be on the same level as Jetfire was for me, and I love Jetfire to death.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Like it's weird where like I like the mold for the new Armada Hot Shot a lot more than most people seem to. I think it's a solid toy. I don't know if it's a perfect update to the original because I haven't handled the original in some time. But like all the other ones have been kind of letdowns for me in various ways. Like the only moment of joy I've gotten out of like Optimus, Megatron, or Starscream is just the first night I had Optimus. I was like, "Hey, can he do the like standard just standing there pose from the Armada game?" And I was able to make that happen, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," because the originals couldn't do that. And I had Bendy Prime as a kid. Not the original release, but they re-released it in the Cybertron toy line, and that was my childhood Optimus Prime for a bit, and it couldn't hit that pose. So to see a version of Armada Prime hit that pose did make me fairly happy, but like that was maybe 2 minutes of just looking at that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, just visually, like, it seems like it would be fun. I wouldn't really regret my purchase right now. But knowing that, like, it's just one of those things. It's like how I started buying video games, where, like, for the first time, I was buying everything as soon as it came out. But then, like, now I'm, like, waiting for sales because stuff's just sitting other places.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
kind of
yeah,
like how
it
like
does feel like they're getting the short end of the stick because we get like amazing figures, and then we get just figures that feel like they're good, they're
mhm.
there, but like what? Why aren't they all the way? What's going on with this?
Yeah, it's kind of like how with Marvel Legends, it's almost like how you have to wait 3 years to get the perfect, proper version of the character you want, and then 3 years later, they're going to come out with an even better one. So it's almost like, I mean, I'm not saying I want Marvel Legends to end, but there's a part of me that feels like, man, I should just sell all my Marvel Legends and wait for that line to end, and then just cherry pick the ones I think look really good.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's kind of what I've been doing with Marvel Legends.
Mm. Like I also got the SDCC Deadpool pack in this order, and I used to have a Legends Deadpool. I had the SDCC retro card one with like the shiny paint that was like directly based on Liefeld's art. And I sold that when my computer was having issues a year ago. But I like that figure, but I love this new Deadpool. This new Deadpool that's on the Renew Your Vows body and comes with a shit zillion accessories is fantastic. But there's also a part of me that goes like, when Deadpool 3 comes out, they're gonna put out another comic book Deadpool that's gonna be pretty stinking good, aren't they?
And I mean we've already had pretty good Deadpools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll just keep doing that. That's not an issue.
Yeah. I mean, Deadpool's one of those characters who's just insanely popular and insanely toyetic, so he'll always have new action figures.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know if I didn't feel connected to the other character there.
Yeah, Bob the
Um,
Hydra Agent.
yeah, like it'd be cool to get a Hydra agent, but like I already have a Deadpool somewhere. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of other like older Marvel Legends hidden away because I still haven't fucked around and like
I mean, the
figured out
original
the Marvel
Marvel
Legends.
Legends Deadpool, the one that comes with what's his name, the little green guy, is still a fantastic figure by today's standards.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about Toy Biz.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. That is a good figure. Um, one thing I did get recently though, if I'm allowed to talk about Star Wars again,
Yeah.
Um,
I was watching a review of that R2D2 the other day, and because I knew you got it, and it looks so good. I can't wait to get mine.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I love the little designs on it. Um, or like the little like features it's got. It feels, I don't know, like many other people. I waited for so long, and it sucks because like that's my favorite character in Star Wars, and I just didn't feel like the OG version and any of the repaints were worth buying because I already have a fucking bunch of R2D2s. I don't even have them all out. Like I have so many. I have more R2D2 than I do of any other character. And I like just, and I just couldn't justify getting all of those little guys like that.
Hmm.
Um, of course, now with its little feature that comes out, and like I like the fact that it can easily pop all the way out, and that's actually the easiest way to get his leg down. But he could pose his little hands. I think I posted the pictures I was taking of him.
Yeah, they're
I was
in
just having
the
fun.
Boingo Rider Discord toy chat. So if you haven't joined Boingo's Discord, go do that.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. Like just for me, I like I know they're gonna give us like Muddy Dagobah R2. I'm totally fine with that.
Oh
I'll buy it
yeah.
again. I know
I'm
we're
sure
gonna
they're
get
gonna
like
repaint this mold to high hell. They've already announced what is it? The one that's hanging out with Mando in season 4.
that isn't a repaint, I don't think.
Well, it's a remold, but it's using the same
No,
body mold.
no, I mean that R2, right? You're talking about the Mandalorian boxed R2D2 figure?
No, it's a different R2 unit.
Oh, R5.
Yeah, R5. He's on that new body.
Yeah, that's a must-have. Again, I love R5. I love those types more than I do the R2 droids. But R2 as a character, like, has
Oh yeah.
elevated itself for design, like past that. Like, I just love R2D2's character. I thought you were talking about the weird move they had, where like in Mandalorian packaging, they are releasing the original R2D2 figure again for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that at all. When it comes to Star Wars toy news, I only really pay attention to Black Series. Occasionally, I'll hear like Figuarts is doing stuff, meh.
And
And that's that.
honestly,
There's not a lot they could do left that would like super excite me. It's really like certain droids that they haven't gotten to yet, and the an updated R2 unit was one of them. I really want to get my hands on that new R2 because as a kid, I like the first thing that jumped out at me about Star Wars was R2 and 3PO, and I was like, I want figures of those guys. And initially I tried to do it with Lego, and when I was a kid there was no set I could afford that came with both R2 and 3PO. And then I tried to get 3 3/4 inch versions, but I never found a 3 3/4 inch 3PO as a kid. And I've had a Black Series 3PO I'm really happy with for a long time now. I've just been waiting for them to either re-release that R2 mold or make a new one. And I've never been able to catch it until now, hopefully, because I've got some pre-orders in. I'm waiting to see which one goes through.
yeah, it's interesting that you never found R2 in them because they most like every couple of years Lego did put back out a small way to get both of those characters, usually just by doing the little escape pod set, and you just
Hmm.
get the pod and the figures.
I probably just
Um,
wasn't paying enough attention, despite having a Lego magazine subscription as a kid.
yeah, I mean it's one of those things where like I was always laser focused, but also like I can't remember because you and me were like probably shopping for that kind of thing at different times.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I have nothing but high marks for it. Like if you saw like the Fwoosh's review,
Yeah,
he
that's the one I watched where he compared it to like all the import ones and said like the only one that's better is SH Fig Arts, and that's just because it has a light color changing gimmick.
yeah, which I agree that gimmick is amazing, but I actually like how this R2 looks compared to that one, not in like paint apps or anything like that, strictly shaping of the dome and body. They're
Hmm.
slightly different between the two, and this is my preferred look. Like it to the T, like for me, just to the T. His legs do have a little weird like quirkiness to them for like tilting forward, but that's something that could easily be addressed, and it's not really an issue. He's not going to do too much with it. I wish he had jetpacks, But technically, this version of him never had it on screen, and I know that's shitty, and that's just what they're gonna do. But as long as they give me the flame effects with that version, or maybe a 2-pack with another battle droid that catches on fire, like they've done on
they gotta be planning either Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith retro cards whenever that anniversary next comes up.
How much sense would it make? They already have that 2-pack coming out with the battle droid and the C-3PO on the B1 body. They're totally gonna do R2 and then another battle droid on fire.
See, that almost makes me want to wait for that fucking release, because that was one of my I know there's OT fans who fucking hate that, but that was one of my favorite R2 moments as a kid, is just seeing him with those jetpacks and going like, this stumpy little piece of shit robot can fly around and kick ass. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't wait just because I'd like the waiting for the R2. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were talking about waiting for the
I mean, it's not officially announced, and it's probably not going to be officially announced until like most everybody has this version. But yeah, I already got pre-orders in. I'll probably have it by the time we record our next episode of this show. This Transformers and G.I. Joe podcast, where we've been talking about Star Wars for like 20 minutes now.
Yeah, I just didn't have a lot of G.I. Joe or Transformers thing. I mean, I was actually trying to open my one other Transformers pickup, but I guess I already know what that figure's like. It's just the Frenzy array. It's the red flavor one. So
the Frumble Tape Boy.
Yeah, there you go. I'm excited to have it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting it. I'll probably end up getting it. Like I got the blue one around Christmas time or no, actually, because you sent me money for Christmas, and then I walked into Target, and that and Tiger Force Outback were both on the pegs, and I was like, oh, thanks, Cody. So technically, you bought me Studio Series Rumble Blue parentheses.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So I'll get the red one whenever it shows up here. I didn't pre-order it, but I rarely pre-order anything today. These days. I've got like 2 things on pre-order right now: that R2D2 and a Kamen Rider toy that's coming out in January. But
yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like things are going to be as hard to get anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Also, seeing all of these exclusives hit fucking Ross and Ollie's really made me feel some type of way. So.
Well, that, and I also just like I need to have more control over my own money than pre-orders allow for.
Oh, exactly. That's another big stink.
But I think that is pretty much all we have to talk about this month. So let's go ahead and close up the show. Snowcone, where can folks find you out there on the internet?
Never_robot on instant gratification. And that's about it. Don't find me.
All right. Don't look for this, man. Also, I'm the Vacuuminator. I make YouTube videos. They're things I'm kind of proud of occasionally. You can find them on youtube.com @thevacuuminator. I'm also on social media. I have an Instagram where I post semi-regular action figure photography. I'm not going on as hard on it as I used to, but I'm taking a different approach and just trying to do something every once in a while when I feel like it. So you can find that on Instagram @the_vacuuminator. I also have a Tumblr where I do Tumblr things. That's thevacuuminator.tumblr.com. I have a Bluesky where I basically do the Twitter thing, but not on the website that's no longer called Twitter for stupid reasons. And that's @thevacuuminator.bsky.social. Again, please be sure to engage with the algorithm, do all the YouTube things to support this podcast if you've enjoyed listening to it. And we hope you have enjoyed listening to it as we've enjoyed recording it. We'll see you back here next month for another classic issue of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, and whatever news and new releases happen to happen in the meantime. Until then, remember, until all are one, knowing is half the battle.